Alright, after the last two videos, relationship with Poxwalkers ended. It's time for the Chaos Defiler. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Ryan has asked me to play with Chaos Defiler Painter. This card is sweet. I have only good things to say about this card. This is a 5/4 body with trample. Okay, maybe not the most exciting thing, but the battle cannon! Not a ability of broadside bombardiers, but instead of Chaos Defiler. When it ETBs or dies, for each opponent, choose a non-land permanent that player controls. Destroy one of them chosen at random. So when this thing enters the battlefield, you essentially get a Vindicate on a stick, and that's awesome. Okay, I guess it's non-land, maybe not Vindicate. And if you're really careful with the wording here, it's actually really neat. You choose a non-land permanent. You do not target it. You can get a Kappa Cannoneer. You can get a True Name Nemesis. You can get some other weird, shroudy, hexproofy nonsense threat. And that's really cool. And this is enter the battlefields or dies. So I want you to imagine we're playing a deck like, oh, I don't know, Painter, where we have Goblin Welder. Imagine the dream scenario where you weld a Chaos Defiler into another Chaos Defiler. You get rid of one permanent for one of them dying, you get rid of another permanent for one of them entering, and you can loop this every turn. That's hot. There's no other way to say it. That is just hot. And although this is going to be something that we're looking to cheat into play, oftentimes by tutoring for it with something like a Goblin Engineer before welding it in with Goblin Welder, just casting this for 5 mana is not unreasonable for a deck like Painter that has Ancient Tomb and other fast mana. And we're also going to be showcasing one other card from the Warhammer 40k set, and that's Canoptic Scarab Swarm. So add a 4 mana 1/1 flyer for 4 mana, you're probably not excited about that, but check out the Feeder Mandibles. When it ETBs, exile target player's graveyard. For each artifact or land card exiled this way, make a 1/1 colorless insect artifact creature token with flying. So this is not your graveyard hate for Reanimator style decks. This is your graveyard hate for the Uro style decks that are going to be doing like Life from the Loam nonsense, or maybe decks that are surveilling cards into the graveyard with cards like DRC to, fuel Murktide or whatever. So you go, you nuke their graveyard, and you get a bunch of flying blockers, which buys you a whole bunch of time. And this is something that you can weld in and out of play as well, as it's also an artifact. Now, note here that this exiles target player's graveyard. So you can use this on your opponent, block with it, it dies, weld it back in, target yourself, clear out most of your graveyard, but make a small insect army token set on the way out. That's pretty cool. So here is the deck list in all of its glory. Now, there's 2 Painter decks running around right now. There's another version that's becoming a little more popular with Agatha's Soul Cauldron. I'm going to try to focus on this in traditional Painter today, where we have this backdoor win of controlling Painter, Servant, putting it on some color, and then activating Grindstone to infinitely mill out our opponent. And I've talked about this a lot in various places, Painter is really more of a mid-range deck right now that happens to have a combo finish. So the Chaos Defiler and Canoptic Scarab Swarm plays well into that mid-range plan. Note that a lot of players are playing a single copy of Chaos Defiler. I don't want to play a single copy and then just never draw it today, so we're going to play 2 today. And we may or may not end up feeling like this is too many copies of that card. I'm no stranger to Painter here on this channel, so I think with that, we're going to go ahead and jump into the league here. If you find yourself in need of some Chaos Defilers or other Warhammer 40k cards, please consider checking out TOA Magic. That is Tales of Adventure Magic. And one of my favorite things about them is they offer literally free tracked shipping. And I know a lot of times you're like, hey, do I need to buy more cards to qualify for free shipping? The answer here is no, you don't. So with that being said, let's battle. Bill from the future here. The tail end of round 5 is absolutely insane. If you have time to watch one round, make it round 5. Enjoy the show. In no capacity do I think this opening hand is perfect, but I think with this much fast mana and like some amount of recursion, I think this hand ends up top decking relatively well. Are we combo or stompy? 5 mana. Stompy. Or maybe more accurately, aggro. This definitely makes double Ancient Tomb awkward, but hopefully we just like get to shoulder it and this is a non-problem. Oh, or this can happen. So next turn I will just Painter Pyroblast. I have to respect discard spells. The best way to do that is probably just to play Painter right now. So everything's blue. I'm going to go ahead and play out my Mox. And I have 2 artifacts, so this is not on yet. My opponent gets to swing life total so much with Sheoldred. It's an 8 life total swing per turn cycle between gaining 2 life for drawing card, burning me for 2, and attacking for 4. A Dauthi Voidwalker. Yeah, that's annoying. I am going to have to draw my card, take some damage here. A Great Furnace, that's fine. So playing Great Furnace turns on Mox Opal. I think I am still blasting this one. It's a little awkward because like then this goes under Dauthi Voidwalker. I think that's one of those things that I just have to accept. And we just hope that Dauthi Voidwalker attacks in, brings us to 7, and then I get to Chaos Defiler, kill that, and hopefully stabilize the board. Fuck. I don't know that we're coming back from that. So I take 3, go to 7, take 2, go to 5, take 2, go to 3, Chaos Defiler away one of these 2, the other one's still around. I get an artifact into my graveyard? Not immediately. No, this hopefully works. Ow. So I'm on a Chaos Defiler. And this is easier for me if my opponent makes some mistakes. Note that I don't target with this ability. I'm going to destroy the Dauthi Voidwalker so that my graveyard is live. Do I attack with the Painter? If I attack with the Painter, I can immediately weld. I don't think I'm going to, though. I think I'm going to hold that back. Log the attack by blocking with Painter. Or honestly, by just blocking with Chaos Defiler. Maybe I'm supposed to attack. So much life. Alright, opponent does not attack. Is obviously not great for me, because I'm going to go to 1 here, so my Ancient Tomb is not functional anymore. Ensnaring Bridge does not do anything, I just die to 1 more activation. Yeah, I'm so close. I just need an artifact in graveyard. I guess we see if my opponent messes up. I don't have any way to wasteland myself or anything. Holy shit. It's happening! Like I gave my opponent too much credit last combat. Weld Chaos Defiler into Painter Servant. Damn it. Alright. That's disappointing. Chaos Defiler immediately, though, in game 1, like, proving its utility. Abrade is a reasonable removal spell. Fury is a reasonable removal spell. I can consider Leyline of the Void as well. My graveyard-based nonsense, unfortunately, is going to be worse with potentially Leyline of the Void and Dauthi Voidwalker going on over there. So I think I'm going to, like, board Goblin Engineers out. I'm going to keep Chaos Defiler as just a thing that I can hardcast. This makes my Ensnaring Bridge slightly worse, but, like, that doesn't stop Sheoldred anyway. I maybe will still keep this in. And now I have to decide if I want to Leyline. Leyline stops Fast Troll, but doesn't actually stop Reanimate, because my opponent can just, like, reanimate things like my Chaos Defilers and Furies. An issue with boarding in Leyline is that it can get in the way of Ensnaring Bridge if I draw it later on. And my opponent does have, like, X1 creatures, like Bowmasters and Bowmaster tokens that might be attacking. That's kind of where I'm at. I'll go down on Welder. Welder, I guess, is an X1. I could, like, do this, play an extra removal spell, keep, like, 1 Goblin Engineer as a tutor for Bridge. This, like, gives up on the welding Chaos Defiler, but, like, playing Chaos Defiler as just destroy target, shouldered, or whatever is probably fine. Please don't take my sideboarding as gospel here. Hands mid. Just plays Naked Painter into Ensnaring Bridge, or Naked Painter into Scarab Swarm. Bridge is really good, but this hand kind of falls apart if I just get griefed. Like, grief losing this, followed up by that, is just pretty close to GG. I think I'm going to accordingly mulligan this one. I think I would like a more proactive plan. Just keeping the Urza Saga Poop Constructs hand, eventually figure something out. Looks like it, but I am not excited about it. If my opponent is on a Wasteland build, this is pretty bad for me. I don't have a lot of agency in these opening turns. It's just Urza Saga pass into City of Traders and Poop Constructs. I have no ability to deviate from this. Okay, there's the grief that I was talking about that would have destroyed the first hand. I lost Fable. We'll see if there's a follow-up. Fuck, it is Wasteland. Alright, GG's, well played. I don't even think I play this City of Traders. Like, it just doesn't get me anywhere right now. If my opponent has immediate reanimate for grief, they do. I think they just take my Abrade. No, they took the Chaos Defiler, which could be indicative of another reanimate. This gives me a reason to do this. Everything's blue. I'm looking to top deck red mana. Opponent gets more land. Hopefully there's not a reanimate on either this or this. Both are bad. Awkward. I play this because this is the start of a tutor towards Grindstone, which, like, just drawing a soul land is my backdoor way to win here. Urza's Saga can also represent some actual red mana. This grief is going to get to bully me for the next couple of turns in all likelihood. Alright, no follow-up play, which hopefully lucky for me. Thank you, Leyline of the Void. Perfect timing. I don't think I attack into flash creatures here. I don't think I am winning this game based on life totals. Alright, no end of turn play. I don't know that I should take that as my opponent has no plays, though. Like, they have 3 cards in hand, yeah. So now I don't get to do the whole Urza Saga search thing, and in fact my opponent can, like, search for a Grindstone. I think we're pretty much dead. I think at this point I'm just going to concede to what's on board here. That second hand did just not line up well. Today's video is sponsored by TopDeck.gg. They're an awesome company that runs an awesome tournament series. If you would like to play for prizes such as Time Twister, check out the Top Deck Championship Series. It's run using their patented Command Tower software, which is awesome for EDH events, although you can use it for anything. Your players can scan QR codes and then get real-time standings and seamless pairings for their event. If you're looking to step up your local tournament game, check them out. All right, this opening hand is great. I believe that I am interested in just casting Fable of the Mirror Breaker on turn 1 here, rather than getting Urza's Saga going immediately. I think this just plays really well into a mid-range game plan, and I can kind of decide whether or not I even think I'm going to cast these. There's a good chance that I loot away both of these on my turn, just looking for more artifacts. Fellow Ancient Tomb Gamer. Chalice on 1 is not going to do too much to me. That means I'm looting away Goblin Welder for sure. I think I'm just also going to loot away Goblin Engineer. Mox Opal is fine. I think it will be worth casting. I'm fine playing an Urza's Saga. Urza's Saga just kind of becomes the plan from here. I'm going to get some colored mana. It's 2 artifacts, so this guy is not on. I think I am going to go ahead and use one of the treasures to cast this. It is just good value. And the second Goblin Shaman means that we can really pump up the size of my constructs, as well as just have double red easily for casting a Fury if need be. Goblin? Surprise! Shocked Pikachu face. My start was good. Do you have a better one? No. Goblin Rabblemaster is just not better than what I've got going on here. So I would like to activate this. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Or is this like a 5? Let's recount this. Activate this. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. I'm going to loot away one Urza's Saga. Let's see if I find some red mana. I find a dead Goblin Welder. So it goes. I'm just going to bash in with both of these. I'll see if my opponent blocks. I guess I could have pitch cast Fury, but I think I want that body. I think I want the body around for this. All right, so my opponent really tanked and ultimately did not end up blocking. That tells me that they want this creature. They may want this for something like a broadside. So while I was planning on just making a token, I think I'm just going to cast this. I just don't want to get blown out by broadside, kill this, kind of help stabilize the board. I think you can make an argument for a whole bunch of different lines this turn. Like, you can make the argument for just Fury, Pitch Welder, make the token. I'm already just on board enough that copying a token of some kind is good enough. So I like Pyrokinesis, Fury, Fiery Confluence, a Braid here. And Pithing Needle is fine, though slightly awkward versus Chalice. I don't need Soul Guide Lantern. Scarab Swarm is very slow. I don't think I am into that. Chaos Defiler is slow, but good. I'll probably keep one for some endgame inevitability. I'd still like a few more cuts from here. The answer is probably go down a couple of blasts. I'm replacing them with other more consistent removal. Assuming I want to needle for Bombardiers, I could just go like bam, bam, or something like that. I could also go down a Welder. Welder and Engineer working towards like getting me a bridge is one of the ways that I can be somewhat stable in the mid to end game. I think this hand is probably fine. I can go turn 1, Ancient Tomb, Pitch Spirit Guide, Fable, or turn 1, Urza Saga, Lotus Petal, Painter, turn 3, Goldfish, or something like that. Either way, the hand's a keep. And I just like decide whether I am trying to Goldfish on turn 3. Given that my opponent is mulliganing to 4, Goldfishing as quickly as possible might be reasonable to good. All right, my opponent has kept 4. Now there are still 4-card hands that very easily can win, so like we are not sitting here like fist bumping, celebrating our win already. That's disgusting. Yeah, I think we are going for speed here. So I think we're gonna go yaw. Everything's blue. I think I'm gonna play this out now to play around a top deck Chalice on 0. It's possible that I should consider everything on red here so that I can pitch a land to Pyrokinesis. A Welder. Welder's cool. Welder is probably worth my Lotus Petal here. Not expecting any flash red creatures. Alright, opponent, you need to have a nutty turn that gets through Pyrokinesis, or otherwise you need to be able to stop my combo. Name Sticker Goblin. I think I just Pyrokinesis that rather than trying to get greedy here. I just don't want to be greedy, have my opponent like high roll and drop a Muxus. So yeah. Float mana. Get Grindstone. Play land. Activate Grindstone. Unless there's randomly an Emrakul. That should do it. Alright, and we just did painter things. GG's. Opponent's mulled at 4 definitely helped us get this one for free. But my hand was very good. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and honestly, they're just the best at what they do. If you need to keep your deck lists online, this is the way to do it. They have all sorts of different viewing options. You can condense that text if you like things to be tight. You can make them visual grids. You can put them in stacks. You've got all sorts of different ways to kind of view and visualize your deck lists, and they also have some really cool functionality, like allowing you to see playtest hands and even fully playtest your decks. So check them out. All right, despite not having colored mana for this hand is very good. I can theoretically Goldfish on turn 3 if I feel like that's a thing that I need to do. Otherwise, I can just play a double Urza Saga midrange game if I feel like going for the combo is not particularly important. I can also pivot and play like a turn 2 Ensnaring Bridge. I have a lot of options, and we'll kind of figure out very quickly what I need to do. Die is the answer. I'm just going to die on turn 1. Yep. You know, this is the cost of not playing a Force of Will deck. So, in case you're not familiar with the combo here, my opponent is going to dump their entire graveyard, or sorry, their entire library into their graveyard, and ultimately reanimate a Thassa's Oracle to get a kill here. I'm just kind of taking a look and seeing if there's anything spicy. We've got Memory. I hate this interface. We've got Memory's Journey to work with here. Otherwise, everything should be kind of pretty normal and expected. So our goal here is to race our opponent or otherwise stop them. They're going to be faster than my deck on average. So Thorn, Pithing Needle, Leyline absolutely coming in. Magus of the Moon is kind of a sketchy way that I could use to deny mana, but will probably be worse than just having Urza's Saga to tutor for Soul Guide Lantern. Additional Rebs are medium, Abrade and Fiery Confluence are medium. I think this is a time where I start taking stuff out first. So like Bridge is bad, Chaos Defiler is too slow, Fury is too slow. This probably gets cut despite being graveyard hate because like it is graveyard hate at the wrong speed most of the time, unless I have it just chilling in my graveyard. This is not really a lightning bolt matchup. As a starting point, it's these 7, and then I start thinking if any of these are better than my existing options. I think I want another blast. Like, Leyline in play protected by Counterspell is kind of an ideal here. Let's do this Trim a Fable. Then, like, I can try to attack some artifact mana. It's mid. I can try to attack some land-based mana. It's mid. It's like, do I want Fable for selection? Or do I want some other minor disruption? I think I'm going to keep the Fables. Fable is oftentimes glue that holds decks like these together. I think it is going to be tough for me to win 2 of the next 3. Okay. This is not going to be as good as it looks for reasons that will probably become clear in just a second. Maybe I lead on Urza Saga there. The problem with leading with Urza Saga there is that if my opponent just like starts with something like Force of Vigor that removes Soul Guide Lantern and the Urza Saga at the same time, it's just very damning. Am I getting Thought Seized? I am getting Thought Seized. The Painter is probably objectively the scariest card in my hand, because if I were to draw a fast mana source of some kind and I put Painter into hand alongside Pyroblast, my position becomes much safer. It's just a little awkward to take Painter because, like, I can Goblin Welder in Painter for 1 mana rather than 2 at some point. I'm deciding if I need to hold up Pyroblast. I think I'm going to say no. The Pyroblast is there for when Painter is in play, or alternatively for when I am fighting over something. And I am not currently in the market to fight over anything. Rocking it in. Sure. That's a Summoner's Pact. Foundation Breaker. So my opponent is going to use that to remove the Soul Guide Lantern. So exiling these 3 cards from graveyard doesn't do anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just crack this to draw a card. And at this point, I just assume that I am dead. Okay. There's a Spirit Guide. So now they can sacrifice and do the whole song and dance. There's the 4 Narcomoebas. There's the Thassa's Oracle. There's the Dread Return. Okay. Yep. It's all there. I will concede. This deck is just much faster than ours. I don't expect to win this one. So I could play turn 1 Goblin Engineer, tutor something to graveyard, and then have no artifact to try to weld stuff in and out. I think we'll just mulligan this hand. Turn 1 Urza Saga, Mox Opal, Lotus Petal, Rack for Painter is awkward. I think it's a keep on 6. I get rid of Engineer. Maybe very bad against Wasteland. Play out some mana. Drop the Saga. Drop the Painter. Everything's blue. Metalcraft not on. Saga coming. I'm going to need to find 1 mana over the next couple of turns, or alternatively any artifact that I can get into play. Every time that I have said I am soft against Wasteland, I have gotten Wastelanded immediately afterwards. That's rough. And grief. Feels like that's probably a missequencing though, right? Like you probably want to grief first to just confirm that you want to wasteland. I think you're usually going to do it, but if you have the ability to make an informed decision rather than a blind decision, it feels like it is correct to do it the other way. All right. This is awkward, but this does turn on Metalcraft for Mox Opal, so I think that's worth doing. Most of my cards are not above 4 mana, so an Urza's Saga would be a bit of an awkward draw here. Otherwise, most of my stuff should be fine. Sure. I don't really know why we had to wait till my upkeep to do that. Like, I was hellbent. We've got another basic. I have to respect things like Bowmasters now. I don't think the Painter gets to keep attacking. That's one of the worst draws in the deck. I think this is going to be one of those games where I just have no agency, and I eventually die to whatever my opponent is doing. Obviously would love to be wrong, though. Sure. That's frustrating. So I can use this to kind of fight back against Alliance Ash, but I think I'm just going to cycle it immediately. I'm just going to take the grief out of their graveyard. Draw a card with this, a Scarab Swarm, with incredibly awkward timing, given that Lion Sash just came down. Alright, looks like my opponent's just going to pump their white mana into the Lion Sash. I'll take some damage. This sucks. So I'm going to Scarab Swarm. I'll nuke my opponent's graveyard. This gets me 3 flyers. These are artifacts. I don't need to hold up Pyroblast right now. I'm going to play Goblin Welder, even though I don't expect it to be good. Sure. The humor of being forced to crack Soul Guide Lantern because I am so far behind, and then my opponent drawing Entomb is not lost on me. I think I am just taking this damage. This could be up to a 5/5, and I don't think I want to throw all 5 creatures in front of this. Once Goblin Welder is not summoning sick anymore, and like I can block with Canoptic Scarab Swarm and start welding that back in, like that becomes much more interesting. But I don't want to block here, have my opponent eat this, and then I don't get a chance to weld it back in and like do some nice like priority bullying. Thank you, deck. Very cool. I think I'm going to fire in with 3 insect tokens here. Hold back the other 2. Yep. And again. I think I'm going to take the block and threaten the activation. So I can't go for it immediately, or it just gets canceled out. Oh, these draws have been rough. Send it, send it, send it. Yeah, unfortunately, like I don't really win this fight here. My opponent goes to remove it, I activate, and they just like go again. I am fine forcing the mana use here. And then they just have to tap this again and it works. Yep. I'm going to take 6 here. I need some sort of reasonable card to play. Sure. Finding a Cauldron. I'm pretty much dead if I just miss here. Yep. Cool. I guess I don't literally concede, because I could draw something like Ensnaring Bridge. But I think I am effectively dead. I think I'm going to let the Goblin Welder go this turn. Alright. So I get Cauldron, I chump block, I take 5, I go to 5. I get 1 draw for an Ensnaring Bridge caliber card. Alright. That almost works. This is indestructible, this is indestructible. I guess I'm alive until my opponent has some sort of bullshit ephemerate thing. I'm sitting here thinking about whether or not I need the second Pyroblast up. I think I do. Everything's blue. I am very nearly there on damage. I have 1 more of these little guys. I could attack this turn, block here, blow up, swing lethal. I think instead my plan is like block with a couple of these to survive, go to 2, be able to top deck Grindstone win. I think I'm doing no attack. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. I think while my opponent is tapped out, I am just going to go ahead and blast the Lion Sash. I think I'm going to leave Stoneforge in play. I think it may be more critical to counter something else. Sure. We're gonna go block, block, block. This does have trample, which is why I am doing this. So conceptually, I will be taking 2 points of damage here, and I still have the Grindstone as an out. But this does lose me Metalcraft. Ooh, wait, it does lose me Metalcraft. Shit. Ooh. I'm 1 mana. Or no, if I have Grindstone, it turns back on Metalcraft. That's Fable, so I can go to 1, cast this. I can exactly block Cauldron, stay alive, but with both of these gone, I'm just dead. Yeah, that was a game that I had minimal agency in. I still came within striking distance. I think my opponent's deck is very slow here. I shouldn't say that. I think like they have these disparate plans with like Stoneforge, Cauldron, Entomb, Reanimate, Grief, Reanimate. I am not sure how like holistically good that is going to end up being. Makes sideboarding awkward for sure. Because like this doesn't do anything versus a Cauldron. I think my plan is just draw better. Yeah, I don't even know if I'm going to sideboard. Because if I hedge too much in one direction, I just get eaten by the other stuff. I think this is an awkward thing to end up in my graveyard. I think I'm going to get rid of these here. I don't know. They do get rid of the things that my opponent pulls out of the graveyard. I think my deck Goldfish is faster than theirs on average. I'll play some generic protection here and then go up, I think, 1... Maybe it's this one. Maybe go up 1 removal spell at the cost of 1 mid-range card. My opponent's on a brew, so like I don't have reps against this to know for sure. As long as I untap with Painter, this handles a lot of stuff for a long time. I think this is a keep despite the awkwardness. This getting wastelanded would be awkward. The Painter getting destroyed immediately would be awkward. But I think in respect of discard, I have to play the Painter out on turn 1. And some portion of the time, my opponent might just like Dark Ritual, Entomb, Reanimate, and get around this. Sure. That's an Entomb that just went bye-bye. I lose my Soul Guide Lantern and my Painter. I now have 0 functional cards. The Urza Saga was a lucky top deck. We'll see if this just buries my opponent. Lol. Alright, back down to a 0-card hand. Cool. Sure. Still at a 0-card hand. I boarded out my Chaos Defilers, right? Yeah. So they couldn't be reanimated against me. Strong. Yeah, I have 0 cards. You may take some of my 0 cards. Cool. Sure. That card isn't particularly good. I think I Lightning Bolt it for curve-based reasons. Because I might not have access to multiple pieces of red mana. Hey. That does stuff. Painter. Everything's blue. I'm going to remove this immediately. I will laugh when my opponent snuff outs. Alright, cool. Note that I am firing off this removal spell immediately because long-term Null Rod is disastrous, and I don't want to give my opponent the opportunity to like Fatal Push, Swords to Plowshare, Solitude, whatever the Painter at a later time and disrupt this spell. I just want to do it immediately while it is as safe as possible. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Ephemerate, yeah, okay. I talked about that earlier. Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. My opponent will opt not to Ephemerate so that their Grief can attack. 14. Rolls whatever. Goblin Engineer. That's not bad. Yes. So, how do I want to approach this? I can approach this in a fair way with something like Ensnaring Bridge, or I can just get the Grindstone. I think I am going to just get the Grindstone. I'm not going to attack with Painter Servant here because of potential Bowmasters. That's annoying. Yeah. I will not be blocking here. I just need any artifact now. Thank you, deck. Sacrifice is done as a part of cost, which is definitely a little awkward for something like Surgical. So my plan here is Weld Painter into Grindstone, activate Grindstone, get Painter back on my next turn. And we'll see if I get blown out. I'm at 8. Okay, cool. My opponent had nothing. Like, we had all the time in the world to top deck out of that. Like, my opponent has... Their deck is not really killing quickly. Like, I don't remember. Like, the first game was probably something like turn 10 or 12. This one was turn 9. But now I know that I have Null Rod to deal with. And if there's one Null Rod in a deck with no selection, there's probably 2 or 3 Null Rods. So a Braid stock goes up, Chaos Defiler stock goes up. Every large creature that I bring in is just another thing that I have to be worried about my opponent reanimating. And even the things like Fury are scary enough. When I'm on the draw, Thorn of Amethyst is significantly less good. I think I'm going to get rid of that. That'll get me in a Braid and a Chaos Defiler. I'm taking out the Thorns. I get worse against the Reanimator side of things. I think I'm just going to accept that. I'm going to get better versus just fair small creature beatdown. Good Fiery Confluence to swipe small creatures while also having one more out to a Null Rod. That's fine. Like, I could just, like, not Pyrokinesis. Sure. Go down Fable, question mark, question mark, question mark. I could also just, like, go down some of the blasts and keep some generic glue. This Goldfish is very quickly. I will keep this. No turn 1 play from the opponent. Am I going to try to Goldfish as quickly as possible by playing Urza Saga? I think yes. I have to respect end of turn, Entomb, just immediate reanimate. I think I'm going to play this out. I don't think I want to lose this card. It's awkward under some very niche situations. All right, cool. We dodged end of turn Entomb. I imagine there has to be some Stoneforge Mystic caliber play here for this hand to have been keepable. It's just a Douthie Voidwalker. I may or may not Fury that. I think I'm going to Fury this. My opponent's deck is weird. And I don't want to just lose to Dark Ritual Helm. I think I'm going to Fury Pitch Engineer. Just eat that Voidwalker out of play. I've got an interesting land decision with regards to Null Rod specifically. But I believe this is the correct play, as this allows me to also play Goblin Welder. It's just awkward if my opponent reanimates this and takes out both of these. Again, like, Fury is a card with very real downsides. Sure. Swords is good. New Douthie Voidwalker. Alright. So this is no longer on, awkwardly. Painter is not in graveyard. So it looks like I'm just floating a mana here. I think I will be picking up Soul Guide Lantern and just removing my own Fury from graveyard. Let's just draw a card. A new Fury. Not really what I'm looking for. So we will Grindstone, play a new Urza Saga, and go from there. My card, like, my stuff's not lining up super well. Fable is fine. I think I'm just making Urza Saga construct tokens. I think I'm fine with the Goblin Welder attack. My opponent's got something like Bowmaster's, like, it's already getting me, so it would just be something like an opposition agent specifically. Sure, that's fine. That's a lot of mana over there. I'll take a little more. So my opponent presumably has some instant speed interaction of some kind. Another Grindstone. Sure. So these are going to be 6/6s, 7/7s after I play another Grindstone. I think we're just putting a Lotus Petal into play. The mana might end up mattering a little bit later on. This is going to be a big attack. Send in for this much. A hardcast Snuff Out. That's fine. Opponent's at 15. I think we're calling it a turn there. I am in theory hitting harder than the Douthie. My opponent's like not playing spells, so presumably they have some amount of interaction. They alternatively could have some large stuff like Troll or Archon that they can't cast. Yeah, that's fine. That buys so much time for fair stuff. Sure. We'll keep attacking with Welders. Haven't gotten sniped by something like an opposition agent yet. I'm going to play this Fable, and I'm going to intend on looting away this other Welder. I'm not going to play it. I want my next mana source to cast this Fury, which this may or may not be. Otherwise, you know, a Painter to work towards a kill is perfectly reasonable as well. 15. All right. 1, 2, 3. You have the Bowmasters now. God damn it. So you can ping that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1, 1. I guess I'm not looting if I want to clear out everything. I could leave my opponent with the token or leave them with the Bowmasters. The Welder is so bad that I think I loot once. And a Braid. That's fine. That's actively a good draw. Sure. That's a boon for me. Now I'll Fury. 2 damage here. I think 2 damage here. Take the bigger body out of the way. I don't think I attack and let my opponent trade this body for body. I think I just am willing to miss 2 points of damage. This also helps me play around an Edict on the Fury. Sure. Alright, cool. Another Fable is fine. I'm okay with attacks here. I've gotten a Braid if things get a little bit saucy. Alright, cool. Second main phase, we'll drop this. I have a Braid up if I need it. I don't intend on looting away in a Braid. It's probably an above average card. Also, at any time if I draw a Painter, that's just lethal. Sure. I look forward to losing the game to Eleshnorn. Reanimate on Solitude. Sure, so that's going to answer my Reflection of Kiki Jiki. I guess please don't have Ephemerate. I think I am supposed to use my mana here. Alright. Awkward. I think I'm just going to say no. I think I'm just going to go ahead and bash on in there. Alright, opponent goes to 3. I think I'm just going to hold this like it's a good card. I think end of turn I am going to Grindstone myself. Damn. Hitting a Lightning Bolt is savage. Alright, this is cool. In case my opponent is playing some random instant speed discard nonsense, I'm just going to do this. Alright, we put the W on the board, but that was a miserable slog. You know, that was like 30 turns for this match of Magic. GG's. Opponent desperately trying to keep Dead Guy Ale alive as an archetype. Alright, my opponent has revealed a Yorian Companion. My hand doesn't really do anything. I think I'm gonna just ship this one. Yes. Yes. I think Fable doesn't fit into this. My opponent has revealed a Yorian Companion. Are you one of the few still trying to play Death and Taxes? Or are you a blue mid-range gamer? Still technically could be either. Well, the Fable that I said was not a part of this game plan came back. That is an incredibly aggressive Force of Negation. I'm not going to say that it is wrong, but that's super aggressive. At this point, I'm probably playing a Painter for Metalcraft purposes. And, like, if I get to untap with this and Red Elemental Blast becomes live, like, that's cool. I'm not really expecting this to work. Like, there's Swords to Plowshares, Leyline Binding, there's just so many things that are going to interact with this. Yeah, that's fine. So, we're rocking Domain now. No land. I guess that's good. I can Red Elemental Blast an Orc if I want. Feels mid. I think I'm just going to hold back. I don't want to trade 1 damage for 2 damage on the back swing, I don't think. Why don't I get to Island Cycle? Alright, that's Yori into hand. I'm going to Red Elemental Blast the Bowmasters here. Not because I care about the Bowmasters all that much right now, but because of future prospects. Alright, now I'll attack for 1 and trade 1 for 1. Yeah. So not having access to the extra mana means that I'm not looting this stuff away. I'm not working towards this to clear the Uro out. I'm stumbling. More mana? Oh god. No. Yeah. So my opponent is now going to get to play Sword and Shield with 4th Airlingas. And I'm, like, missing land drops and stuff. So this is not the best. I'm going to hope that I can get myself out of this spot. But again, my opponent is going to have so much free or 1 mana instant speed interaction. There goes the Yorian. that my prospects aren't actually that great. The Uro, unfortunately, is coming down before this does anything. No. Oh. So I think I'm probably dead. Opponent does not have Bowmasters up right now, so this block is okay. I'll take 2. Sure. What is this? Lands and artifacts? I have none of those in graveyard. Welder's not doing a lot. I think I am going to make that land drop and cast this rather than just make an Urza Saga construct token. That way I have some ability to loot if things go wrong. I'm not going to play this out yet because there's about a 50% chance that I want to loot it away. Oh, right, I didn't do math for the 4th Airlingas to see if I'm dead. Block, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Doesn't seem like it. God damn it. Yeah. Grindstone, activate. Block. 12, 13. Not dead. I guess I can just make it 12. All right, let's draw a Grindstone. I get a couple of looks. Not beating a free counterspell. You draw your card. Yes. I'm not making it through another turn cycle no matter what. Like, even if I block, like, 4 of these, any one of those tokens is lethal. Yeah, so discard 2, find Grindstone. Find Fury? That doesn't do it, right? So I can hardcast that. That gets rid of 2 of those. Any one of them is lethal. I can block 3 of them. Yeah, I think we're coming up just short here. So I play Fury, lose the land, kill 2, 5 remaining, block 3, dead. I attack with Goblin Shaman 2 Lightning Bolt. That does the same thing. Yeah. I needed 3 more turns before I would have found a Grindstone. That was a solid beating. So I like trying to free roll wins with Magus of the Moon here. I like that quite a bit. From here, how do I want to approach this? I don't think I want ley lines. I don't think I want this Ensnaring Bridge. Welder's really awkward versus Bowmasters. Welder Chaos Defiler is so sick, though. My opponent's also just doing exile-based removal, so, like, Maybe I'm just getting rid of a lot of that recursion. I can bring in Magus of the Moon and extra Fury as additional mid-range stuff. I can bring in Fiery Confluence that can go to the Dome. I can do this to make my opponent's spells clunkier. This is just generically good. Fill with, like, one of these cards, or just keep 1 or 2 of these. Really awkward to, like, want Urza Saga and Magus of the Moon at the same time. I think I'm going to play Fiery Confluence and a Braid in respect of Bowmasters. This is a mid hand. I could play turn 1 Thorn or turn 2 Thorn. I'm not really backing anything up there. I don't think this has a strong enough game plan to actually win. I think this hand just, like, not loses for a while and ultimately dies. This hand can attack cantrips but has no real text. I'd rather go to 5 than keep this. Like, an Urza Saga hand is notably stronger than this. Yeah, this is very good. Confluence goes back. I think Pyroblast goes back. And I think I'm going to lead on the Grindstone. We'll see if my opponent aggressively attacks it like last time around. I think you can make an argument to play Painter on turn 1, but it makes my opponent's Force of Wills and Force of Negations better from there because, like, lands and stuff can start being pitched. I mean... Sure. Note that I fully do not expect to win the game in the next turn cycle. We'll pretend, though. Alright. I would love to draw a land. I did not. Pass turn. I'm not going to go for the Grindstone-based kill immediately. I want to go with this once I have the 4th mana available. I just don't think it makes sense to put that activation on the stack until I can protect it. That'll do. And then we'll pass turn. I maybe respond to this, but I'm not going to. I'd rather do my thing in my opponent's upkeep. That's tough. I don't want my opponent to look for more pieces of backup. I'll go for it. We will counter that. Oh shit, I just won. Okay, like, I fully expected that we were going to morph into a mid-range game. Looks like I picked my spot correctly. It's a little hard to tell. I think I conceptually like my board plan. This has a single mana source. This is not going to do it for me. This'll work. A braid. A braid helps with Bowmasters for this specifically, but otherwise is not particularly exciting as a card. Like, that's one of the things that I'm using to fill slots. You know, if my opponent drops a Null Rod, you know, I'll feel like a silly goose, but so it goes. We're just going to fire off the Grindstone immediately. My opponent has played very aggressively against Grindstone in the past and will probably continue to do so. Like, I would fucking love it if that ate a removal spell or a Leyline Binding or whatever. All right, there's some cycling. Binding Trop. All right. This is the first time this match that we've seen this come down, so this is legitimately scary. I think I don't play the Urza Saga this turn. I think I would like to play Fable into Fable. Yeah, so the Force of Will is now cantrip. One has Hydroblast, that's not surprising. My curve's a little better now, because like I get to Urza Saga into this. That's a little concerning. There's not quite enough land, there's not quite enough cards in graveyard yet, but Future Fill definitely has a problem. I don't get to play this right now, because it just interferes with my curve. I don't want to play this and then just like fall behind the Uro. I would hopefully like to accomplish a few more things before that Uro gets into play. Like having a couple of large construct tokens before my opponent can produce Uro would be sick. But my opponent can just like cantrip fetch and then Uro is here. Alright. That's the 5th card in graveyard for Uro. That is not great for me. So now my opponent has 2 different sources of card advantage. So life's bad. All right. So conceptually, how am I winning this game? Probably via combo. So I should use that to inform how I loot here. It probably means I get rid of Fury. It probably means I keep Thorn, despite the fact that Thorn doesn't do a lot right now, just because Thorn helping to protect Painter later is nice. Let's do this. Pyroblast. That's actually kind of dope. I think I'm just naked Pyroblasting Uro here and hoping it dies. My opponent could pay for 1 off Thorn anyway, and I can surprise my opponent by making an Urza Saga token that they're not suspecting. And then Urza Saga can get Graveyard Hate to take the Uro out. Yori into hand. There's not red mana over there for something like 4th Aerlingas yet. Just keeping that in mind, that's something that my opponent could have in hand that they can't deploy yet. So let's do this. 3/3s, soon to be 4/4s. I think it is this over something like Mox Opal. Get out Uro. Flip this. Yeah. I could draw a card off the Soul Guide Lantern immediately. And it's very good if it is like an Urza Saga or a Painter. I think I just hold this up though, because it's worth plus 2 to 3 points of damage just being here right now. Interesting that my opponent pondered off of Underground Sea rather than one of these here. That feels like a mistake to me. Like, I don't think green, green, green is necessary. Sure. That's fine. This gets to blink the Beanstalk. And I think I'm playing Thorn so that these can attack as 5/5s. The Thorn resolving is like surprisingly important, despite the fact that it's like not particular. That's cheeky. And now it looks like the Thorn is much more important than it actually is. Yeah? Nice. Again, I can't overstate how good that artifact land as a draw just was. This is uncounterable. The Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Copy one of these. Now all of these get to attack. This forces a Yorion chump. I am terrified of Supreme Verdict. Or Terminus. I'm terrified of a sweeper. Ooh, Solitude. Hey, there's the 4th Aerlingas that I suspected might be in hand. So my opponent already had that Solitude, right? So if my opponent already had that Solitude, they could have either removed Reflection of Kiki Jiki or removed the construct that I was copying to take less damage. So that feels like a misstep. Sure. So there's the fetch to clear. Are the Aerlingas going forth? Oh, it's another Solitude. Sure. Just getting left with this. Unsure how I feel about that. Like, this could get very spooky if I draw the wrong mid-range thing. It's probably safe for me to turn this into a card now that both those constructs are gone. Ancient Tomb's not great. Painter, though. Well, Painter? A lot of free interaction has been used recently, friend. No! Damn it. It needed to be forced, too, because the removal spell wasn't going to be good enough, because I can activate Grindstone if my opponent removal spells this. I just copy it with Reflection of Kiki Jiki. Alright. We'll call it a turn. I'm not willing to attack this into Solitude. This is just too good defensively for if I draw something like a Painter or a Fury. I don't think I'm in a position to try to manually Grindstone my opponent out. I don't want them to hit Uro. I've already got Painter in here, which is what I would be looking for anyway. This is a relatively swift clock. I don't think I'm trading with Solitude. But this game has really showcased the power of Up the Beanstalk. My opponent does... Fuck! That's so good. I now have to try to win a fair fight with my opponent having Solitude and Yorion in play already. And me shutting off Urza Saga. Hey, Levi. Yeah. So I can copy this and, you know, attack for 2. Everything draws cards. The world is cruel. I'm going to copy it. Yeah. Note that this does deny some other colored mana for the rest of this turn, so this is not just doing this for funsies. Opponent's at 5. But, you know, this is doing work. I've only got a couple turns left in me. I need something like a Fury. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Don't mind if I do. This is insane if this resolves. We've used a lot of Force of Wills already. And note that, like, I don't select with this until the ability resolves. Nice. My opponent floats a mana. Presumably for this. I think I am going here. The Magus of the Moon is now in play. I go to the beginning of combat and let this mana empty. I probably respond and just copy a Chaos Defiler here before my opponent draws another card. So I think I take out the Solitude here so that my opponent can't gain more life. I'll now let this resolve. They're going to take out the Magus. I'm going to hit my opponent for 5. And a cool thing is going to happen then. And I like cool things. I'm now going to sacrifice my Chaos Defiler copy, which dies. And since it dies, I'm going to take out this Leyline Binding and keep my opponent off of white mana. I think my opponent and I both messed up now that I'm seeing how this is playing out. I think my opponent was supposed to get rid of my Chaos So I think I let the Leyline Binding resolve and let my opponent target the Magus. Yeah, multiple Chaos Defilers. Weird situation. I'm just gonna pull this out. Yeah, I think my opponent realized just a touch too late how crazy Chaos Defiler was going to be. I think both of us probably could have navigated that turn better. But yeah, we've gotten the GGs. This final round just showed how much power that Chaos Defiler actually has. So we end up with a positive 3-2 record in this league. And that white-black round felt like a terrible slog, but that last round, Chaos Defiler saved our ass. So how are we feeling about this at the end of the league here? I think I feel medium about the deck as a whole. Something I've said a lot recently is decks that take splash damage from Bowmasters are feeling significantly worse right now. There's just so much Bowmasters running around. I felt awkward kind of boarding out Goblin Welder when it's like supposed to be so central to this strategy. So I don't know that I'm hot on Painter as a general archetype right now, but I sure as hell am hot on this card. Like, it's very clear that just casting this for 5 mana and nuking something while being attached to a 5/4 trample that potentially threatens to do it again is enough. And if you are running this in an archetype that can potentially tutor for it and further abuse it from there or reanimate it from there, like, I think this is cool. I'm not sure that this was worth its weight this league. It was interesting. It produced 4 bodies in 1 round. It's tutorable. So like there's that. I have mixed feelings about this one. Like, would I have been happier if this was just like yet another Chaos Defiler? Honestly, maybe. At 5 mana, there's probably diminishing returns on how many of these you want to play, but like, man, in that last round, copying Fable or copying Chaos Defiler with Fable, so you get the ETBs and dies in a single turn, like, I live for that shit. Like, that is so incredibly good. I am happy that I took the time to test this card, and Ryan, thank you very much for donating to make this happen. Expect to see more Chaos Defiler in Legacy. And if you need to pick up copies of it, Tales of Adventure Magic, place to shop. Just saying. Folks, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And if you have any thoughts about Chaos Defiler and such, throw them down in the comments below. All right. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.